There are some missing Pokemon evolutions out there that you never got to see. I've been exploring these evolutions in a couple of previous videos, and basically these are evolutions of Pokemon that have had a prime opportunity to happen, but just haven't for whatever reason. And it's what we're going to be exploring today with some brand new Pokemon designs, so let's get right into it. First up, we are going to begin with Basculin. Basculin recently got an evolution in Legends Arceus, but it's only the newly introduced white striped Basculin that evolves. The red and blue striped forms have been left out in the cold in terms of getting an evolution themselves, so today we're gonna give one to them. This is Basculin, the chill fish Pokemon. This Pokemon evolves from blue striped Basculin when leveled up after having been frozen or frostbitten in battle. Basculin inhabit the coldest of seas in the Pokemon world, seemingly unaffected by even the most bitterly freezing temperatures. This is a point of interest for Pokemon researchers, as they want to know what grants Basculin this immunity to the cold, because these researchers believe that this trait, if discovered, could potentially be given to other Pokemon or even people, to make shivering in the cold a thing of the past. As you may have expected, Basculin also picks up the ice type upon evolving to become water ice, and similar to its counterpart Basculegion, it also has a gender difference between the males and the females. The male form is this one that I've been showing you to this point, and the female is this one that has a white color scheme instead. To get into the design origins a little bit, this is actually based on the Alaska Blackfish and the Alaska Whitefish, as well as the fact that Basculin first debuted in the Unova region in Pokemon Black and White. So this just felt like the perfect way to do a gender difference for this Pokemon, while at the same time paying homage to the game that it originally came from. Basculin even has its own signature move called Winterize, which has a base power of 60, but also has an additional effect similar to moves like Trick or Treat and Forest's Curse, which adds the ice type to the target, referencing its lore. Stat-wise, Basculin has the same base stat total as Basculegion at 530, with its best stats being its special attack and defense and its speed. However, the stats also differ slightly between male and female, with the male having better special attack and the female having better special defense. Finally, these are Basculin's shiny forms, where it gains a shade of green that feels a little bit colder, which is in reference to its ice type. I also have an evolution for the red striped form of Basculin as well, but first we are going to switch things up a bit and take a look at Bisharp. Now, this one is a little more hypothetical than the other evolutions we've done in this series, because it's not really quote-unquote missing as much as the others, but there is still an opportunity for it. We saw Bisharp get an evolution in Gen 9, which is themed around the King chess piece. So naturally, with a King evolution, that does kinda open the door a bit for a Queen evolution as well, which unfortunately did not happen. So, we are going to give Bisharp a split evolution here, where it could either evolve into Kingambit or evolve into Queenostra, the big blade Pokemon. It shares this category with Kingambit, who is its counterpart, and the distinction between the two would be pretty simple, and that would naturally just be their gender. This would require a slight bit of retconning, since Kingambit can either be male or female, but I imagine that Queenostra would have the same evolution method as Kingambit, but if the Bisharp were female, it would evolve into it, whereas if it was male, it would evolve into Kingambit. Queenostra is an extremely ruthless and intimidating Pokemon, and while it also acts as a leader for Pawniard and Bisharp, it differs in its approach compared to Kingambit. It's more conniving and underhanded, and won't hesitate to take things into its own hands, even against the Pawniard and Bisharp that it leads if they falter or betray the group. Taking a quick look at the origins, while Kingambit is a shogun, which is basically a samurai boss, Queenostra is a mafia boss, which gives both of these Pokemon that theme of authority, but in different ways and styles. Its head is even meant to be shaped like a fedora, which I think turned out looking pretty cool. It is also still a dark steel type, and like Kingambit, Queenostra also has its own signature move called Sable Slash. This is an 85 base power dark type move that also has an upgraded chance of either landing a critical hit or making the target flinch. In terms of stats, it has a base stat total of 550 just like Kingambit, but its best stats are flipped compared to Kingambit, as it has great special attack and defense as well as speed, but isn't as good with physical attack and defense or HP. And last but not least, this is what its shiny looks like, matching the shinies of all the other members of the Kingambit line. So I told you earlier that we would also be giving an evolution to the red striped Basculin, and now it is the time to do that. Similar to blue striped Basculin, if you level up red striped Basculin while it is also burned, it will evolve into Basculase, the hot fish Pokemon. These Pokemon take the term hot-headed a little too literally, as their anger and aggression literally boils up inside them to such a point that this Pokemon becomes physically hot to the touch. Thanks to this extreme hot-headedness, it also gains the fire type and has the very unique type combination of water-fire. This also ties in with its other evolutions and its pre-evolution, as this gives each evolution of Basculin a new type that corresponds with the color of its stripe. As the red stripe becomes a fire type, the blue stripe becomes an ice type, and the white stripe becomes a ghost type. And while Basculask gained a signature move upon evolving, Basculase gains a signature ability called Boiling Point, which gives all of its water-type moves a chance to burn the opponent. Like Basculegion and Basculask, Basculase also has a 530 base stat total, with it having pretty good attack and special attack, decent speed, but not as much defenses or HP, so it's a bit of a glass cannon. It also should probably have a gender difference as well, since both Basculegion and Basculask have them, but I didn't really think about that till later, admittedly, so I didn't get a design made. However, it does have a shiny where its body becomes a much lighter green color, and the red also turns a little bit redder as well, which I thought looked cool. Okay, it is the moment you have all been waiting for. It is time to give Feebas its final missing evolution. In the previous episodes in this series, I introduced the concept of how Feebas evolves into Milotic by maximizing its beauty stat, but it doesn't have any evolutions for the other contest stats, and so I created evolutions for the cool, cute, and tough stats. You guys have really loved them a lot, which I really appreciate, and there's been a ton of requests to finish things off with a clever evolution, which is the last of the stat evolutions that I haven't done. So, without further ado, take a look at what your Feebas will evolve into if you maximize its clever stat. This is Philosophin, the intelligent Pokemon. Since being clever and smart is its whole thing, Philosophin is a water psychic type Pokemon that controls the ocean waves with the power of its mind. It will use its psychic abilities to manipulate the ocean's current in order to bring its prey directly to it, and in battle, it will use similar tactics to attack its opponent from afar instead of making any physical contact itself. In fact, it's known to be so smart that it can remember the strategies of its trainer and perform in battle on its own without its trainer even having to call out any moves. This is represented by Philosophin's signature ability, Autopilot, which will allow Philosophin to make a move in battle even when its trainer elects to use an item instead, meaning that using a potion or something like that won't cost you the opportunity to do damage to your opponent. With the other Feebas evolutions, I also introduced a concept where each one of them was based around a different artistic masterpiece, since Milotic is named after the Venus de Milo sculpture. So, Philosophin takes inspiration from the School of Athens, a very iconic painting that features many philosophers conversing with one another, further adding to the intelligence theme of this Pokemon. Just like Milotic, Philosophin also has a 540 base stat total, and as you may be able to tell, it excels in special attack and special defense, with its speed also being very good as well. However, its HP is not great, and its physical attack and defense are basically non-existent. Finally, its shiny gains this purple color, which just helps to contribute to its psychic type vibes. Those are all of the Pokemon that I have for you today though, and we have finally finished all of Feebas' contest stat evolutions. So thank you so much for the support on those, and be sure to let me know your favorites of these designs in the comments. Leave a like as well if you enjoyed, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Until then, as always, thanks so much for watching this one, I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.